So if you're watching this on my video channel and not hearing it on the podcast, although if you are hearing this on the podcast, I'm going to recommend you come on over and watch the video. I have the distinct pleasure today of having a very special guest who you know her as an Academy Award-winning actress and maybe even a producer. But what you don't know about her, maybe, is that she's a multi-booked author. She is an activist in the health space and the wellness space. And she's also now involved with Clint Ober of Earthing, who we had on the show not too long ago. So it's just such a treat to have you here. I really thank you for taking the time out to share with me and my listeners and the viewers what's going on for you and how you can help us get to the next level in terms of wellness and health and your journey and all the gifts I know you have to share with us. Thank you, Mariel, for being here.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a wonderful journey that we're all on. And I think that it's all about, coming together and sharing all the stuff that we know as our age takes us into more wise choices. There's a lot to share, and it's been an amazing journey. And I'm really grateful to be doing the things that I'm doing.
So obviously, we're not going to go too backwards into your past, into the Hemingway curse, if you will. I know you did a whole documentary called Running From Crazy, and you've talked a lot about it. And I know people ask you about it, and you've been interviewed on it pretty often. And so, anyone that's interested, you can find so many interviews with Mariel Hemingway on YouTube or on the internet. So just go look if that's something that you're of interest. And we'll tie some of that into what's going on today, because like you, people go through events in their lives, and not to compare if someone's is worse than the others, because we don't know what we don't know. And in the life that we each have, we have an evolution, we have a purpose, we have lessons to learn, we have pains that we overcome. And the journey that you've been on, from Academy Award winning actress and being in the limelight to now really focusing more on the health and wellness side, what was that journey for you? What were some of the maybe health challenges or pains that you had that got you to make that leap from the entertainment industry, and you're still in it, but in the entertainment industry, into more of the health and wellness space?
Well, I think that, our life's journey is always, it's patterned after our upbringing and, where we grew up and what family we are born into. And, I have a tremendous heritage to uphold, but also a genetic propensity for mental health issues. And so my journey was always about survival until quite recently. I met my life partner, Bobby Williams, who has taught me so much about myself and about laughter and about how you can actually shift your belief system so that you can create a life that you want. And I had never realized that. I was really just trying to survive my life and not end up like my family members. And yes, I've done a lot of interviews about that, but what sort of gets lost in the translation is the fact that when I am talking about anything that has to do with health and wellness, I'm talking about the brain and the body together. Because I think that we make a mistake, especially with health and wellness. We kind of separate the body from the mind and the mind from the body. And we sort of think that the head isn't attached to the body. And literally, I believe that our health and well-being, a body, mind, and spirit, is everything we do. Everything. The mind and the body go together. The food we eat affects the brain. The thoughts we think affect the body, and the lower gut and the microbiome affects how we think. I mean, we have to look at our lives as this holistic adventure. And so I have to get back to what you actually asked me. So what took me?
Well, what made the leap?
Journey?
Yeah, what made the leap? Because usually sometimes someone has some kind of disease or pain or something happens to them, and they kind of get the bug, or they get the health kick, or they reversed something that's going on with them. So what was the leap?
Well, I mean, I think for me, it's been a lifelong journey of watching my family. There were a family of addicts. There was cancer. There was heart disease. There were so many different things that I was fascinated by the fact that I came from all of this, but I also was completely focused on creating a different life for myself, so that when I had children, I would create a different life for them. I truly believe that, we can create our own life. So it wasn't that I got a disease or anything specific. It was really that I watched a family kind of disintegrate by the effects of addiction, by the effects of mental health issues. I come from 7 suicides. I've got all this kind of heavy weighted stuff, and cancer. And again, I said heart disease, and I thought, wait, I've got to do this differently. So it was really a process of, initially I was just scared because I was a young girl. Then I had children, and I started to understand that health and wellness had an effect. My ex-husband got cancer, and I thought, wait, lifestyle has something to do with that. Because the one thing that I really understood about my mother is that I think if she really understood that there were more things to do than just go to the doctor and listen to what they said and believe everything that they said and be a part of the solution. I'm not saying that doctors don't have amazing things that they can do, but we are human beings who are part of our own health, mental and physical journey, and getting well is our responsibility. And getting well, even if you're not suffering from a crazy illness, getting well is about a life's journey, and the choices we make, the food we eat, the exercise we do, the thoughts that we think, how we wake up in the morning. I think everything makes a difference. Sorry, there's another kitten. Hi.
Yay, kitties! Hi, baby.
I'm an evil cat.
No,
I am the evil one. Look at my tummy. It's so big. We're calling her Fatty Hattie. No, that's a girl.
Oh, it's a girl.
Anyway, yeah. That's the girl.
We have a lot. We have many connections in common between cats and our friend Amy, and earthing and grounding.
Yeah.
And I believe that
awesome.
I think you are a Scorpio, right? Because your birthday was just the other day. You're a Scorpio or you're Sag?
I'm a Sag. I'm both. I'm both. Well, I've got a lot of Scorpio in my chart, and I'm Sagittarius as well.
So you're probably going to think I'm some weird fan person or whatever. I am a weird. I'll just lay that out there right now. I already did your chart because I was researching.
Oh my God.
Well, I don't know your place of birth or time, but I did your chart. So I have the rest of it. I know you have a lot of Scorpio in you, which is probably why I honed in on Scorpio. Because that's just who I am. I do what you don't know about me is I have a mind, body, soul approach. And for all I know, I was the only one really doing it, which I was asking questions about my clients and, why do you want to lose weight, or why do you want to look better, or why do you want to eat better? It became because it wasn't just about that top level, surface level stuff. And so for 20 years, I've been a personal trainer who's sort of taken that deep dive and connected everything from the endocrine system to our neurotransmitters to spirituality and astrology, and really weaving everything together. And this year I've taken on to put in wealth and health together and money, and let's take it to the next level with quantum physics and with law of attraction, and really looking at how we prepare ourselves, like you were saying, for total health, that everything is connected. There's not one thing. We're not just
100%. Even our prosperity. I think you're talking about health, wealth, and we have such a guilt and shameful kind of, we don't think that that's intermingled, but it is. It's part of our good health. Having balance in all areas of our lives.
Right.
I totally agree. Sorry.
And I saw the interview with you and Bobby on Super Soul Sunday when it aired a couple years ago. And I've rewatched it and re-listened to it since, because I'd love to have you both back on with Doug and I to talk about running with nature. But you talked about how when you met him, something changed. So that you connected all the dots, because it sounds like as you were raising your girls, right? You have 2 girls?
Mm-hmm.
When you were raising your girls, you took that awareness and you said, hey, wait a minute, something needs to change about the way that I'm raising them, that I'm with them, that how people were with me and what they would do, and understanding addiction on different levels, and food. And I know you're gluten-free, and I have a cooking show that's gluten-free, dairy-free, and paleo. So again, lots of connections there. What was the, turning point that Bobby kind of opened your eyes to that was different than the path you were already on?
I was definitely on this path. I was on this trajectory towards health and wellness and balance. But I think that when you don't have that partner, and I'm not saying everybody needs a partner and that's going to fulfill you, but there was an element of relationship being a great teacher. So what he put together for me was that, the mirroring of being in relationship and having somebody kind of mirror back to you that, your fears or your excitements or whatever it is. And frankly, love. Love hadn't really played the biggest part in my life. Not that I didn't love my daughter's father, at one point in my life, but it wasn't a deep sort of connection. When I met Bobby, there was this deep growing connection. And I think love has a way of healing you on so many levels. So when I was introduced to laughter and just being spontaneous, I was so into control. So prior to meeting Bobby, I was very much about like, how can I control everything about my life? I'm going to control my food. I'm going to control my exercise. I was about like, I'm going to control this because if I can control my body, I can control my brain. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to end up like my family. Bobby brought in spontaneity and being present in a way that wasn't attached to the past, that wasn't attached to fear, was attached to wonder, was attached to being childlike. It was extraordinary.
All right. I didn't do his chart because he's not Wikipedia. So what's Bobby's birthday?
He's 9/29/63. So he's a little bit younger, which we slap him every day for. Yes, he's Libra.
Okay. I was trying to hear it and I'd be interested. I feel like there's definitely some kind of fire in his chart, whether it be Sag or Leo or when I was listening to the interview again, because again, I saw it on Super Soul Sunday when it aired. And then in preparation for today and hopefully another time with the two of you, I was listening to it on the podcast in the car. And and I was trying to get in there and think, okay, because I do a good job of guessing. I've been doing astrology for 20 years. I can usually feel like one of the planets. I'm like, okay, there's Sag in there somewhere. I don't know where it is, or Taurus or whatever. That's funny. I'm all about the mirroring in relationships and using relationships to grow as well. At some point, did you, with the addiction piece, because I dealt with sort of others' addictions for a while and had to grow into understanding my own addictions around that. And my own addiction was probably control as well. And really understanding that we all have addictions. There may not be hard addictions. Maybe it's not all alcohol and drugs, but food is an addiction. Control is an addiction. Shopping, social media, distraction. Like, what do we do to distract ourselves? And, and it sounds like maybe throughout your life, you got to the place where, your girls were at adult age or old enough that you're not so responsible for them that you actually could let in the chance of letting go of control and seeing what that felt like. And all of a sudden it was like, woohoo! It's like when you let go of something and then all of a sudden it's like the freedom you feel was probably, and then of course full of love, the love and the freedom together was probably so elated by that new feeling that, the fear of, like you said, like you did the movie Running From Crazy, like that the whole focus was, how do I do everything so I don't end up like that? Or how do I do everything to avoid something like that? But in law of attraction terms, it's actually the same thing, right? Because it's asking what we don't want, but we're focusing on what we don't want until we get to that aha moment of like, oh, but you had nobody to model that for you, right? I mean, was there anyone besides Bobby in your past that could model what trust and true freedom and like trusting the process and believing and knowing on a scientific level in our brain science and how we can create new neural pathways and have different experiences? Having a new experience was possible for you, that there isn't some dreaded curse that you're going to fall into, that it really is something you can monitor and you can absolutely shift.
100%. And I think there was nobody who could model that in my childhood. And, not anybody's fault. It just was the reality of the life that I had as a child, and also the generation that I grew up in. And maybe I don't think you're similar. I don't know. Maybe we're close to the same age. I don't know. But I know that was a generation that didn't delve deeply into knowing things about yourself. So there was nobody to model. There was nobody to trust. And I didn't know that I wasn't trusting anybody. I didn't know that I didn't love. I didn't know how to love myself. So therefore I didn't know how to love somebody else. And Bobby sort of gave me an environment and a space in order to discover that I was worthy of love, of self-love. And then that self-love in turn becomes this ability to really share love and see love in others and have that ability to love others. And that was an embarrassing and bizarre moment to realize that you'd never really felt an extraordinary amount of like, oh my God, I can't help but just want to share the love that I feel. I know that sounds a little dorky, but
no,
anyway.
It's honest. It's honest.
Yeah.
As someone who's trying to control everything, there's an education around controlling, because in order to control something, you have to understand it, to study it, to know what you need to control, to know so it doesn't go the way you don't want it to go. And so, I'm the same way. I'm the information gatherer. I'm the learner, and you learn. So you sort of defend and protect yourself in a way. Like we almost use the addiction to learning and gathering information to shield the fact that we actually have to surrender at times and have a certain level of trust in everything. I mean, I did it. I started my first podcast to try to save my marriage. And really that was why I started it, because I wanted to send information. I knew it wasn't going to be delivered through me. So my journey of learning how to be a better partner, what wounds I needed to heal, the mirror that I got in my own relationship was really the path that started my whole podcasting journey. It was like, really, I'm going to learn all this so I can fix it. But at the end of the day, everything I knew and everything I learned, and I'm so grateful for all of that, I can't fix someone else's desire to want to grow or learn or participate. But I literally, I'd love to see the person who's done more than me. I do want the badge. I want the badge, because literally like I scoured the earth for like everything you can do to help a relationship out. And so, but I understand that, because that's me too, right? I might definitely using information and learning to control or to influence is an addiction.
And I think that letting go of control is such a liberating thing. It's unbelievable. I mean, the greatest thing about aging is that you know nothing and you don't care. You're just like, oh my God, I've gotten to this age and I have wisdom and I have a lot of experience, but I know nothing. And I don't care that I know nothing. I don't care that everything is new. Information comes, you have wisdom and you can use your information, but you're not the end all, know all that you thought you were when you were 30 or you were in your 20s or whatever. I mean, God bless, my daughters who are in their journey and in their knowing and all that stuff. And then you just get older and you just think, wow, I don't have any control. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone in 5 minutes, so it's a different world when you let go of that need to monitor and control every moment of your life. And it's extraordinary. And it enlightens you, it makes you healthier and happier when you can just say, I've got this because I have no idea where I'm going. And I too search the world. I literally I've been to more crazy gurus and holistic healers, and everybody was going to fix me. Everybody outside myself was going to fix me. I'd throw tons of money at them. It was like, you're going to fix me. Oh my God, you're the next person. It's like, I'd make them my friends so that I could call them all the time. And then I realized, and that was another thing that Bobby brought to my attention. I was my best teacher. I've had lots of experiences that were kind of pivotal to that, but it really is, it's our journey. I'm my best guru, teacher, holistic, whatever. I'm that person. I'm the only one that can fix me, because I'm the only one living inside this body, inside this spirit, inside this mind. And so I have to take responsibility. And I think that that's what I love sharing with other people, is that we've got this, because you're the best person for you. you know, that's why you came out of it. And maybe you thought the outcome would be, oh, I'm going to heal my marriage. But the outcome was you became, oh my God, look at me. I've got this. I know how to fix JJ. I know how to walk into my world. And even though I don't know the full outcome, because that would be controlling, but I do know that my journey has these steps and that I'm comfortable with these steps, but those steps come from my inner knowing. You know what I mean? So there we go.
Oh, absolutely. Well, without all of this, chaos, if you will, and learning and lessons. I mean, I'm at that point with, so I have many shows. I have a network of shows, and my most popular show is called Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. And when I did the Fit to Love podcast,
how come I'm not on that? I'm just
you are. Don't worry, you are. You're on all of them. You're even going to be on Health and Wealth. You're even going to be on Health and Wealth. Don't worry.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yay.
Well, that show, I ended up, my community nominated me for People's Choice Award for that show. And I didn't win. I had bought myself the trophy. I'm waiting for it. Otherwise I would show it, because I'm like, no, I want a trophy. I want to show because what I did was allow myself, what I didn't allow myself to do before was to step into a knowing that I had about myself, that I thought, oh, if I say that, someone's going to think, well, who are you to say that? Who are you? You're not qualified. You don't have the degrees. You don't have life experience. So I think to say those things. And so I kind of hid it behind, like, this show was a 6-day-a-week show. And on the Friday day, I named it Freedom Fridays. And that was sort of like my little selfish, I'm going to call it Freedom Fridays. And I don't care if anyone else listens to it. I'm going to talk about what lights me up. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. I'm going to talk about what works for me. And I'm going to do it from the position of, I don't care if anyone ever listens to it. So when I took the 6-day-a-week show, rebranded all 6 days as different shows because they needed the rebrand, and I put that one out first. And I put it out first, and I said, you know what? I don't have any products, I don't have any programs, I don't have anything. I have nothing to sell these people. I'm just going to stick it out there. And all of a sudden it blew up. And I thought, oh my God. And then I had an event in 2018 in January that I was working up to standing in this new place for myself, like really, really claiming, okay, I'm going to lead you through these mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual exercises. And I'm going to stand in this. And I said to them, and I had people fly from all over the country to come to the event. And I stood up there and I said, guys, like, I'm not an expert in law of attraction. And they all went, yes, you are. And I was like, okay. But again, I wouldn't, like, every moment has been because of the moment before, and because of the lessons, and because of the things that we call conflicts or tragedies, or things that, you wouldn't wish upon yourself, but you absolutely are on a journey. And I believe we choose our journey before we get here, that we created this path to unfold in this way, to bring this to life. Yes. So it's like, without all of that, I could not stand in such a place of trust. Oh my God, so much trust in the power of what it is. And it's not even about me. And I'm finally there to that point where I'm sure the life of being in the spotlight, obviously I have no idea what that's like, like you do. But I'd love you to speak to that, because for me, not being in a spotlight, but then being, on stages or in conventions and speaking and doing my podcast and things like that. And I was an actress. But all of that still was about me, even though, you don't want to admit to that. It sounds bad. It's not, but like, you think, oh, I'm talented. I can sing, I can dance, I can write, I can direct, I can produce, and I do good work. But even until recently, until the people who I serve on the show write back and tell me how much their lives have changed, that they were in depression for years, and all of a sudden, like, the show just finally, like, lifted them out of the depression. And I don't know them. I never met them before. I've never worked with them. So to hear, like, the power of that, even if it's just 5 people, and it's way more than 5 people, but even if it was just 5 people, there's this knowing and confirmation that now I can literally sit back in a trust that I have never been able to do before. And so it sounds like where you are with the work that you're doing and who you are. And even like you said, it's scary, but it's not. Like, the freedom of the trust of, I don't know what's happening and it's okay, comes from the fact that, because you were trying all the other ways and it was nerve wracking and it didn't work, and you thought you knew, but you knew you really didn't know. And now you're just sort of like letting go and for the phrase, letting go, letting God, or letting go and letting life, letting go and letting evolution happen. So, would you agree that at that turning point for you, possibly that it was really a bigger mission about, even though you let go and you didn't want to control, do you feel that the connection to sort of what you were doing had a bigger mission in the world that made it not about you anymore?
I think that I didn't realize that I had a mission until I was inside of it. I mean, I made the movie, I made Running From Crazy, and I realized after, when I was promoting that, and I had written my books about sort of my life and my family, and I realized that it was a mission. Is it a mission? I don't know. But there was a calling to help others to not feel alone, to not feel isolated in their journey, whatever their journey is. And I think, you speaking to, it is about you, and you have these people, whether it's 5 people or 500,000 people or whoever it is, that their lives have changed. And my feeling about that is that we become catalysts. We become catalysts for information and love. Mm-hmm. And when you become a catalyst and you open those portals to help others, it is about you, but it's not about you. It's like, I'm just here to allow whatever comes, because I'm sure that you feel this way, whether it's on your podcast, but especially, I know, because I do a lot of speaking as well. When I'm speaking, and the best speaking that I ever do is when I come off and I have no clue what I just did. And it's like, yay, that was so awesome. And I'm like, really? I have no idea what I said, because you become this thing. And it's very similar to acting, which is why I love acting. The best parts of it are when you have gone so inside of it that you lose this, you're editing, you're thinking about the way you look, and blah, 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 it's just, you become, and you're just this catalyst for information. And I think it's when, without sounding corny or weird at all, it's how God works through you. And you become very humbled by the experience of that. So I think that's powerful. That's a powerful journey for all of us. And, I see it in you. I see it in people that and like law of attraction, we attracted each other. We came into each other's lives because there is a similarity in what you're doing. And the universe, I think, does want us to speak to the world and help people to feel like they can do that. They have the power to create lives that they want, because you did. And there wasn't full knowing that it would all work out. There's not full knowing that, Bobby has this incredible technology that he's doing. And it's like, we don't know the outcome, but we know that we keep going on the journey because we keep being guided. Mm-hmm. So it's bigger than us. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, no, please. What I love about, I have recently done this full circle of my entire life, what finally is connecting on all levels. And I'm like, okay, yes. It's no longer like I did this over here and I did this over here. It's like, finally I can go, nope, here's how it's all very well connected. That the acting part, I wish that I think everyone needs to take an acting class for nothing other than the compassion of when you understand what it's like to look through someone else's eyes, when you can embody someone else's point of view, when you can put on their life that's not yours, and you can, for a moment, look at the world differently and go, oh my God, I had no idea that this is what someone else goes through. And also the other thing that you were talking about that I think is a similarity for the acting piece is being in the moment. Like we're talking about when you're acting and you're in the moment, and that's meditation. Is that not meditation?
100%.
When we're actually
100%.
in a moment where we're being guided, yes, and we're actually embodying on all cylinders, and we're not watching ourselves. We're not having, because I've done that too, on stage, and you're thinking about your lines, or you're thinking about what you're supposed to do, or how you're standing, or how you look, or how people are looking at you, and you're not in the moment. You're judging. You're being an observer. So I think having that, that very distinct in the moment feeling, that meditative, guided by, oh yeah, I did a pitch at an event. They asked me, hey, you want to get up and pitch? I said, sure. I got up and I did this 1-minute pitch, and people were clapping, and everyone's like, that was the best pitch of the day. And I was like, I have no idea what I just said. I literally for half a second got up and just was like, boom. And then I had to ask for the video footage so I could see what I said. But yes, absolutely. When you're in the moment and it's flowing, we are a channel. And it's because, again, you're attached to that greater good, and you get out of the way. You're like, this isn't about me. This isn't about defending me. This isn't about saying why I deserve whatever. This is about me channeling information to help you. And I just happen to be here, but it isn't about me, and I'm going to get out of the way.
Yep. Yep. I totally agree.
So let's fast forward to now and to what's been happening over the last, I don't know how long you've been involved with earthing and with Clint and the ground therapy company and right now having the movie that's launched about the earthing movie, which was great. And I swear I've seen parts of it before. I don't know if it's just been piecemealed over the years or yes, it's a great movie. It's on YouTube right now.
It's amazing.
So let's talk about how you got connected to Clint and earthing and involved, and you're doing a magazine for them.
Yeah. So to be honest, another thing that Bobby brought into my life was grounding, like literally walking barefoot. And he started it years ago. Like we're in our 11th year. And when we first started going out, we go on these hikes and he'd take his shoes off and he'd be walking and I'd look, and I've been hiking my whole life. I love the mountains. And I was so curious and I thought, oh, wow, I used to go barefoot a lot when I was a kid. And yeah, that looks kind of cool. And he's like walking barefoot and I would try to take my shoes off for a couple minutes at a time. And it was like, ow, ow, ow. Anyway, long story short, last year, my friends Josh and Rebecca Tickell, who made the grounding movie with Clint, and talking about grounding and his journey with grounding and how it's helped his life. I realized that the best times of my life and my best kind of survival moments were when I was a child and I was outside in nature. I was barefoot. I was in the mountains. I was on the earth, literally. And that was sort of a saving grace for me because my house was a little bit crazy at times. It was chaotic. It was, there was full of anxiety and pain and people were having a rough time. Not all the time, but there were many moments of that. And it was my connection to nature. And Bobby reintroduced that into my life. And then a year ago, Rebecca and Josh said, oh my God, we realized that you guys know more about grounding than probably anybody we know. And so we did this interview for the earthing movie. And, when I met Clint at the earthing premiere in Sedona, at the Sedona Film Festival, I was like, I realized when I was doing this interview, I realized that this is my mission, part of my mission. And because I think it will help people with mental health. I think it will help them physically. There's so many things that grounding is the foundation for. I got so excited and I looked at him and I said, I want to do something for you. I want to create something with you, for you. And I said, let's make it, he was like, I was thinking about doing a magazine. I said, let's do it. I'll do it. Let's make this magazine. And we made it, we made a pact then and we created this magazine. It's called MH Earthing, Mariel Hemingway, MH, Earthing. And it's really just the story. It's my stories along with Bobby's stories, along with my best friend Melissa's stories and other friends of mine. And then we have a little insert in the middle of the magazine that's really about the ailments that it affects. You cannot believe what grounding will do for physical, mental, and emotional things throughout your life. It's extraordinary. I honestly think that if people got grounded, their lives would change. I'm not saying it's a cure-all for everything, but certainly it's going to create a sense of balance, health, well-being. You're going to get a sense of ease. I mean, I've gone through some of the most stressful times in my life in the last several months. But grounding has kept me so balanced. Like it does keep you present. Talking about when you're really grounded, I go out every day. Prior to doing this with you, I was out on the trail with the dogs, walking barefoot, and there's something about it. And then, you can sleep grounded. There's so many things you can do for people that are afraid to do it, outside barefoot, if that just totally freaks people out. That, a lot of people are like, there's dog poo. I'm like, yes, there is dog poo. There is, but you don't have to step in it.
Right. There's also towels and washcloths and soap.
Exactly. And maybe dog poo is good for you. I don't know.
Definitely as a fertilizer. Who knows what it would do on the bottom of our feet.
You never know. I'm sure that on some of my journeys I've stepped in things, but we won't talk about that. But it's just been an extraordinary life-changing thing for me. So I did the magazine, and here's the magazine.
Let's see it.
And that's Bobby.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
He's
my
very
guy.
cute. Yes.
He's awesome. We'll talk to him on your other show.
Yeah, we'll do another one. Now, well, I also heard that a lot of what's in the magazine are also just success stories from using the products. Is that true?
100%. 100% using the product. It talks about some of the things that are talked about in the movie. But it's what's wonderful is like, the only thing I've ever had physically wrong with me is that I had a thyroid issue brought on by inappropriately not eating correct. I thought I was being healthy years ago, but what it did is it broke down my thyroid. So I was on thyroid. I'm on thyroid medication.
Was it soy?
It was soy.
Yeah.
Soy and people that are, vegan like soy is not the problem, but genetically modified soy is really bad for you anyway. And I did so much of it, as we know. And anyway, shut my thyroid down. I was on thyroid. So I start grounding like regularly every single day and sleeping grounded on a sleep mat. I'm on half the medication. It's natural thyroid, but I'm on half of it. I don't need the full amount. And I think eventually I probably won't even need it at all. So to me, that's profound. I was told I'd always have to be on thyroid because if your thyroid doesn't function or whatever, it doesn't function. But it's just things like that. And so that's a kind of a simple thing, but you just hear extraordinary stories of people that really have tremendous amount of pain, from fibromyalgia to arthritis and all these things. And nobody's saying that it's a cure, but you are getting a relief that you cannot believe, because inflammation is 90% of our physical diseases, and mental illness, neuroinflammation, which is brain inflammation. That's the cause of mental illness. That is the cause of mental illness. Whether it's PTSD and trauma to the brain, it's inflammation in the brain that can't get released. When you get grounded, that inflammation is released from the body and the brain. So for me, it's part of the mission. It's like if I can say, oh my God, so I have this great story of a guy last year. It was right after we'd done the movie. It was right before the premiere. And this guy called me. He lived in Portland, Oregon. You can only imagine in February in Portland, Oregon, it's a pretty dire straits place to live if you are emotionally, a little bit sensitive. And he contacted me through social media, which was kind of weird. And he sent me this video, and it was just, I was like heartbroken. I was like, oh my God, you need help. I contacted him and I said, look, I am not a doctor. This is not me trying to cure you of anything, but I got to tell you, I think I'm going to tell you 3 things that I think that are going to help you. I said, I want you to get outside. I know it's probably raining there because it always rains and it's winter. I said, but get outside and take your shoes off. And if there's a glimmer of sunshine somewhere, I want you to look at the sun and get that vitamin D. And he did all those things. And I actually looked on, you look on your iPhone, you look at the weather in Portland, and it looked like there was like some sun coming in a couple hours or whatever. Anyway, and I thought, well, crap, I don't know if this is going to work, but it certainly can't hurt him. So he goes outside, he takes his shoes off. There's a break in the clouds. He looks up at the sun. He sits there for 15, 20 minutes. He calls me within an hour and he goes, I knew calling you was probably a good idea. He said, but I had no idea that what you would do was literally make me feel like you saved my life. And I said, look, I didn't have nothing to do with it. It was the sun. It was the sun and the earth. But he said, I just can't believe it. I can't believe how different I feel. And it brought tears. I was like, oh my God, because I didn't know. I wasn't thinking, oh my God, I'm going to cure you and you're not going to, jump off a building. But I did know that the earth is designed to keep us in balance. And if we get rid of that neuroinflammation by literally putting our feet on the ground or putting it on a grounding mat if you have one, and putting it under your computer when you're working, you know, there are things that we can do to create mental stability by just being grounded. That's a huge statement. And I think it is a foundational thing that we all need to do. I'm also producing and hosting a show about the prevention of suicide for teenagers. And I want it to not just be a sad show about teenagers that have taken their life or almost attempted to take their life. I want it to be about solutions. And one of those solutions that I'm going to encourage that we talk about, we've done a sizzle reel and is grounding, getting outside, you know. And kids nowadays, they, as you know, like, kids are on technology. We all love it. It's been extraordinary for our lives, but it's also really important to disconnect from it. And the fact that they're on, you know, technology all the time, they're not getting a relief, and it's creating a really high amount of neuroinflammation. So we have to get rid of that. The other thing is, the other person that I'm really connected to is Dr. Rudy Tanzi. He's one of the foremost neurologists, brain doctors in the world, but especially in this country. And he taught, we're going to start doing something together. I'm not sure what it is that we're going to do, but maybe speaking and things. He wrote a book with Deepak Chopra about the brain, and he talks about neuroinflammation, and he talks about grounding. He talks about how important it is, lifestyle, our food, our exercise, getting out in nature, touching the ground, all of these things, they're important. They sound so simple, but those are the cornerstones that make for a better life.
Agreed. Yeah. And I want to add in one more aspect of that. And I want to throw my hat in the ring for this, because there's definitely a huge, we are on a frequency right now that I had no idea we were going to be connecting on. Before we do that, though, I do want to mention to anyone who's listening, I have a special. They created Earthing Company to create a special for me. So it's jjflazanes.com/earthing. And you get, when you buy a grounding mat for the bed, you get a free universal mat. So it's a good deal. You save $70, you get a free
deal.
Yeah, big deal. $70.
Big deal.
And you can put that universal mat. I have one right here on my chair. You can put it on your desk, underneath your arms. You can put it underneath your feet. You can put it wherever. So anyway, it's jjflazanes.com/earthing. Okay. Yes. So here's where I had no idea. I'm like, it's blowing my mind right now. Right. So I'm also, 2020 is going to be a really big year. There's a book that I'm sort of, I don't want to say rewriting. It's someone else's work that has done amazing, wonderful things in the world, and it continues to do amazing, wonderful things. But, you know, sometimes when you have a body of information and it's kind of older and the name kind of doesn't really appeal to a lot of people, it's like you're turned off by it. And people don't, even though the content may be amazing, it needs a rebrand. And I've been threatening to do this for years. And I've been teaching the contents at all my workshops. I've been teaching it at corporations and companies for customer service and sales training. And so I got the download of how basically to, again, expand this message to help more people. And it's so in line with what you're talking about. It's the work based off of nonviolent communication. So Dr. Marshall Rosenberg created nonviolent communication. Horrible title. I didn't want to read the book for years. Life-changing information on the inside. And the way they teach it, though, is a little bit not like, it doesn't make the impact that when I get people in a room every time, I spend 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours on it. And when we're done, they're like, we could spend the entire weekend on just this. Nonviolent communication really are the principles about communication and understanding our own feelings and our needs. Emotion is the most misunderstood, not focused on, most important part, I think, of life. I mean, we do everything we do is because we want to feel better. Everything, every choice we make, everything we do is because we want to feel better, but no one knows how to process, not no one. We don't have a standardized, in the world understanding of, okay, so what do I do when I feel emotion? How does an emotion created? Did I just feel this because it just happened to me? Or did I create this with the interpretation in my mind? When I can understand and process my own feelings and understand that it's not necessarily someone else's fault and that it really is my own wounds, it's the way I'm interpreting, it's many factors. When I have the power to understand, I can get my own needs met. Like literally this work stops rapes. It stops war. It is like so powerful, yet I want to take it and bring it into relationships, into schools, into children, into understanding depression. We can alleviate depression and anxiety if people understood all these emotional components. Anyway, so the book, the TED Talk, the certification, like it's 2020 is the year I'm stepping into.
That's amazing.
So important because again, I agree with you. Definitely on the physiological side, we need to support our bodies to heal themselves. And so many things that we do in life are disconnecting us from doing that. And when we can reconnect with what is already available to us, whether it be the earth and grounding and all the electromagnetic goodness from the earth, not necessarily from our devices, but from the earth. And we're looking at also, let's say, energy around us all around, plus source energy, plus our own emotional energy. I think that's a piece that people, they shy away from. There are more depression, anxiety, suicides that are happening right now because again, we do not want to look at emotions. Nobody wants to deal with them. Nobody wants to feel them. Nobody wants to understand them. We just want to numb them. And so anyway, that's what I'm doing. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because I think that's an important piece when we empower people to know that they are the creator of their own reality and they can change it. They can change it.
Oh my God, it's so exciting. I love that you're doing. God bless you. It's so good because it's true. It's like, it's in nobody else's hands but our own. But if we don't know how to deal with it, if you don't know what to do, I mean, God bless you for doing what you're doing. I mean, for teaching that because it's a skill that nobody's taught. Nobody's taught how to deal with our emotions. We're just taught to stop them or maybe go see a therapist, maybe talk about a roundabout way, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, if we can deal, and they happen every day, it's not like they avoid us. They happen all the time, all day long. And it's how we address them. How do we move forward with it? And then, and then all the other stuff that we do to create that balance. So I thank you for doing that. Yay.
Well, I think it's in alignment. You're talking about preventing suicides and why is someone deciding they're going to take their life because they don't feel worthy, they don't feel understood, they don't feel seen and heard, they don't know what their purpose is, and they don't know how to get there because no one's ever taught them how to even think about things differently. So that mental, emotional component, even if you believe in God or a source energy or whatever you believe in, let's say it's a power outside of you, you can still misinterpret what other people are doing or saying or your role in life and decide that you've interpreted your existence in a way that makes you feel bad. And it isn't necessarily the truth. And so to really bring this into, it's so needed. Like, how we deal with emotions and money, really, in school. Like if we figured that out earlier, but instead we learn how to balance a checkbook, but never know how to make the money to balance a checkbook, right? Like we don't get, this isn't taught in the most important places that it is. And yet every decision we make
is based on it. And here's the other thing. It's like we want our kids to go to college, but we're teaching them a career, but they don't know really how does that break down? And also the relationships that are involved. We don't talk about the relationships because it's the relationships that lead us into the career and into the success of the career. Because if you don't understand the relationships around you, how are you going to, I'm not saying that there aren't hugely successful people out there, but it's like a lot of times we're not educating our kids or anybody about the emotional component, which is, 90% of what we're dealing with every day, especially women.
Absolutely. And
that's what Bobby would say. You're so emotional. I'm logical. I'm like, you're a little bit emotional, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Let's look under the hood. I want that astrological chart. I'll show him where he's emotional. Yeah. Because as a Libra, he's in that idea space and the head space.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Air sign is ideas and thinking. So he likes the thinking. Yes. Right. And that's why he likes the playing, because it's all that air, right? Non-contained energy. Right.
Yeah.
But there's,
yeah.
I'm sure there's emotional in there somewhere. So I love what you're doing. And I love that the mission of spreading the word of grounding and of being able to balance the body to help heal the issues in the brain and in the body and to feel better, both emotionally and physically, is part of what you're doing. Can you give us one more story that really impacted you from the magazine? Now the magazine changes, or is it just one? Is it like a one-time deal?
Oh, no, no. We're going to do another edition in this spring. We're going to do that probably, biannually, maybe quarterly. We don't know. At this point, we're doing it biannually. But we want to really encourage people, first of all, to get grounding mats, start grounding, start walking. It's not about selling things. It's really about having the equipment so that you can like go to JJ's, the link that she's given you, because the bundle will have a profound impact in your life, So the stories will change, and we really encourage people to get the magazine. When you get your product, you'll get a magazine, but also share your stories, and you will have stories. I know it 100%. You will have stories. It's just, my good friend Melissa, she talks about energy and how, she knows a lot about energy. She does on Feng Shui, Chinese astrology, energy work. And she really understands, how energy moves through the body. And when you connect with the earth, it's just profound. She's got a story in the magazine. There's a great story in the movie that I'm sure you saw of a woman she starts out 92. She's like starting to kind of fall by the wayside. Her son, who worked for the FDA, was a little bit worried about her, didn't know what to do, decided to get her a grounding mat, kind of heard about it, thought, it's at least, I'll give it a try. It probably won't do anything. But he gave her a grounding mat. They started walking barefoot, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, she'd given up tennis, and she loved tennis. She loved to play tennis her whole life. And, and she lived by herself. She was starting to get nervous, nervous about like making the bed, worried about being alone, all that stuff. She starts grounding. She's playing tennis she's 94 now. She's probably 95 now. She's playing tennis every day. She's walking outside. She feels super confident living by herself. You see her making her bed and putting her little grounding mat on. But that's profound. And one of the things that we really want to share with people, especially those that are taking care of a loved one, and when you talk about like Alzheimer's or senility, or when people start to age and the aches and pains that come along with that, if you can get your, parent, your aging parent or grandparent, a grounding mat, and you can start releasing some of that inflammation, and that will start to change their lives. Again, I'm not saying it'll cure, but it will profoundly affect. And there's so many, affect their lives. And there's so many people that are, in a caregiving situation. And it's so hard, as we become older and our parents become the children, and we don't know what to do, and we're not sure. This is a great way to help them make their life better and easier. It's just huge.
Yeah. My parents have one coming for Christmas. They won't watch this. Actually, they might watch it, but they won't watch it all the way through. They won't watch it all the way through. They might watch it because you're on it, but they're not going to watch it all the way through. So they're getting one for Christmas. I already know all my Christmas gifts are coming from earthing and grounding, because
that's so good.
Someone asked me about
GroundTherapy.com. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and again, you get that bundle. Maybe you want to give, it's 2 for 1. You can get the mat for your bed, and then give the universal mat away, and there's a free gift.
Yeah.
And
so
definitely
good.
For your parents, or because it's preventative. I'm the weird kid. Like, I know I asked you, like, what made you make the leap, and you personally you didn't need to, you were around it. You had your family who was going through these things, and you were saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to be like that. So what can I do? And I'm that weird kid that also didn't necessarily have anything wrong with me either, but I'm far ahead of it. And I'm like, I brought my parents last year or 2 years ago after one of my book launches to do a whole workup, and Dr. Peters was like, JJ, your parents are healthy. I'm like, I know, I want to keep them that way. Like, I want to get out ahead of it. I'm not waiting until they're going to be in pain. Let's just get the hormones up. Let's get the rest down. Let's get the inflammation down. Let's get the eating good. Let's get all of this stuff together, so that way you don't have to decline and then go, oh, what do I do now? So it's
100%.
And it's not, you buy it one time, you put it on your bed. Like, you sleep on it, you're grounding for 8 hours. It's preventative. Yeah.
It totally is. It's super exciting. And it's not that expensive either. A grounding mat's just not crazy. No. It's just like, it's not like, oh my God, how will I, like sometimes, you're on Instagram, you're like, oh my God, that's so expensive. It's not like that. We want this to work for people. This is about like, how can we help people get better. I mean, we have to pay for it being made and all that stuff, but it's really not about like soaking it to people. We want people to be better. And just like you said about understanding the emotional, nonviolent communication, it's also about when you are healthier and happier, you're going to make kinder, better, healthier, more productive, wonderful choices in your life. And I think it's going to, in my mind, when we become healthy as beings, we're going to make better choices on so many levels. And that's just like subliminal for so many levels.
Absolutely. And it's actually how you get to be the change you want to see in the world. It's not just a meme. You actually have to do it, right? This is how you get to do it.
And that's my feeling. That's how I'm political. My feeling is if I can make my family, my community, my friends, and myself as healthy and well as possible, I know that the choices that we're going to make, whether it is in a political arena, whether it is, in our community, we're going to change that world just because we're coming from a healthy, balanced place.
Right. Yep. No, I'm totally agreeing with you. Now, without, today's focus at the end here was really about Mariel and earthing and grounding and the magazine, the MH magazine, which you can only get if you get a product, right?
MH earthing. I think at this point, I mean, we're gonna like put them in office, like around, but for the most part, I think, yeah.
Okay. But you have several books, and I didn't even ask you, like when you went gluten-free. When did you go gluten-free? I was 2008. I've
been gluten-free, and I've been pretty much like grain-free for years, even before it was cool to be grain-free. Like I was doing yoga before it was cool to do yoga. But I've been, I would say I haven't done grain, gluten for 20 some years, like a long time. And then I did like you, I'm very into it. Paleo, meeting Bobby, I started eating meat again, but only if it was grass-fed and, grass finished and
organic,
unabused animals. Yeah. Unabused animals, organic fruits and vegetables. Yeah. Pasture raised, the whole thing. It's just, it's important to me. And I don't think that's an end all. I think there are people that are vegan. I think there are people that are vegetarian, but I think making ethical choices, that's where people have to go. We have to go in that direction, being kind to the animals, being kind to the planet. That's the future. That saves the earth. It's so important. I don't know.
So talk about
that's another show.
But it is. Let's send them to which two books? I know there's a cookbook. I know there's
so my last book was called Out Came the Sun, which is really about my family and the journey of discovering like why I became who I became based on this family that I came from. I really like the book because not because it's my story, but I think it relates to a lot of people. People really understand the story. But as far as lifestyle, Bobby and I wrote a book called Running with Nature, which is wonderful. And it's about lifestyle, about food, exercise, grounding. It's about all of it. It's about water. It's about drinking water. It's about meditation. It's about everything. And then the other book I've got, Mariel's Kitchen, was the gluten-free, sugar-free cookbook. And I wrote a book that I really like. I wrote it years ago called Healthy Living from the Inside Out. And it's just kind of a go-to. It's kind of a guide on how to live a balanced life, and being connected to the earth. So I don't know. There's a lot of books out there.
Go to marielhemingway.com. The link will be underneath. marielhemingway.com. Yes. There are books you can buy when you scroll down on the homepage. I believe that's where they are. Right. Yeah. Your site's beautiful. Yes. It's very simple and to the point, and I love it. I definitely need an upgrade on mine. So I'm like, I like this.
You're so sweet.
I have to model that.
I may steal that. It's all good.
Modeling. I'm not stealing.
No. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. You can steal, I'd be honored.
Okay, great. I'm going to steal. No, I'm kidding. And I'd love to have you and Bobby on, not only to talk about running with nature, but actually taking that sort of to the next level. I heard the show and I heard with Oprah, and I think that, again, all your points are all my points. I'm like, okay, yes. Like I want to take that to the next level of your relationship. And I'd love to talk about the two of you, because it's a conscious relationship and it's based in play and in love. And and what his past baggage is and what your past baggage is, not too much, but just to say, okay, how do we get here today? And what do we think works for most people, or works for us that would work for other people if they tried it? And, just because I think, like in terms of healing the earth, healing ourselves, healing from that level, people want better, more conscious, more connected, intimate relationships based in trust, love, and fun and freedom. And we're definitely at this point looking for models who is living that for a long period of time. And embodying that, and not just giving it lip service, but actually doing the work. So I'd love to know those. We're not going to answer it now. So ask him if he wants to be on the show. We'll do that. We'll film that. I'm trying to figure out if we can film it at the beach. I'm like, is that possible if we film at the beach? Might be too loud. He would love that.
He's so about like being active, doing something. He's like, I hate these photos. He's an actor and stuff. And so he's like, I hate these things where you don't do something. So.
Okay, I don't know if we can talk and run, Bobby, but I mean, we have to sit for the talking part, but we can run before the shoot and after the shoot.
He's really good. He's really profound. I mean, he's really, you'll love talking to him. He's got a lot of really cool things to say.
Okay, so we'll get that on the book. I'd love to have you.
So good. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm excited. I don't have a copy of the magazine. I have a lot of product, but I don't have a copy of the magazine. So I guess I'm gonna have to order something else.
Well, we'll make sure that Olivia, as you know, Olivia sent you one. We'll make sure you get them.
That would be great.
Yes.
Thank you so much for today. And I look forward to doing it again.
God bless you.
God bless
you. Thank
you.
you. Yeah, me too. Okay.